I wasn't supposed to be home. She thought I was on a 2-day work trip, but a flat tire changed my schedule. When I walked into the house, I heard water running upstairs and laughter. Hers. And then a man's voice. I saw it all, with my own eyes. My wife on her knees in our shower, with a man who cleans public toilets for a living. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there and watched. She never even looked ashamed. It was a Thursday. I'd been sent out of town for a training session, just 2 days, not far. She knew the schedule. She even helped pack my bag. Kissed me goodbye like nothing was wrong. Said she'd miss me. I got as far as the city limits when my back tire blew on the highway. I didn't have a spare. Called roadside assistance. They said 3 hours. So I came back. She didn't pick up when I called, 3 times. I figured she was napping. I had a key, obviously. It was still my house. My marriage. My life. When I stepped inside, it was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that only feels loud when something's wrong. I dropped my bag and walked toward the kitchen. Nothing. Then I heard the water. Shower. Upstairs. Running. I froze. My heart wasn't racing. It had stopped. And then I heard it. Laughter. Hers. And then another voice. A man's. Gravelly. Deep. I couldn't make out the words. But I heard the tone. Familiar. Intimate. I climbed the stairs, slow. Quiet. The bathroom door was halfway open. Steam rolled out in thick waves. I stepped closer, just close enough to see the shadow behind the shower curtain. 2 people. Not one. I waited. And then the curtain pulled open. She gasped, but not because she saw me. She was laughing. At him. Covered in soap and sweat. His jumpsuit was on the floor. It said sanitation crew across the chest. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. They didn't notice me until she turned her head. Our eyes met. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She smirked. Back already, she said, casually pulling a towel around her. Yes, your tire wasn't the only thing that blew today. I felt like I was underwater. My ears were ringing. The man grabbed his uniform and muttered something. I didn't care. I didn't even look at him. I only saw her. Her wet hair clinging to her face. Her lips curled up like I was the one who'd done something wrong. She walked toward me. Towel barely tied. Her voice calm, cold. You should have knocked. Then she passed me on the stairs. I stood there for minutes. My own house. My own wife. And she looked at me like I was the intruder. The man shuffled out behind her. He didn't look at me either. When the door closed, I didn't move. I just kept hearing her laugh. That smirk. That voice. You should have knocked. I didn't even know I was crying until I tasted salt on my lips. She came back that night. Not to explain. Not to apologize. Just to grab some clothes. I was still sitting in the kitchen when she walked through the door like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't shattered our marriage 6 hours earlier in a cloud of steam and sewer breath. She opened the closet, pulled out a duffel bag, and started tossing in shoes, shirts, perfume. I stood behind her, barely able to breathe. I just want to talk, I said. She didn't stop packing. Now you want to talk? That's rich. My throat tightened. Was it just him? Or has it been going on for longer? She turned slowly, not surprised, not guilty. Just amused. You mean Ron? She asked. From the city waste unit? My knees went weak when she said his name like that. Familiar. Intimate. She noticed. Relax, she added. He's not the first. Just the first you caught. I felt like I was falling without moving. You don't mean that, I whispered. She zipped the bag and smiled. Not kindly. Cruelly. Oh, I mean it. You think I was going to spend the rest of my life with you? Mr. Trusting? Mr. Predictable? She walked past me into the kitchen. You never even checked my phone. Never asked questions when I came home late. I followed her. Because I trusted you. She poured herself a glass of wine, my wine, and took a sip. That's the problem, she said. You're too trusting. It's pathetic, honestly. I felt my heart breaking in real time. I still love you, I said. She laughed in my face. Of course you do. Because you don't get it. You think love fixes things. You think if you say the right magic words, I'll fall back into your arms and apologize for everything. She stepped closer. Her face inches from mine. I don't feel bad. Not even a little. I couldn't look at her. Please, I muttered. We can still go to therapy. We can try. Just tell me it was a mistake. She tilted her head, eyes narrowed. It was a mistake, she said. Sleeping with Ron in our house? Yeah, that was risky. Should have taken him to the motel like the others. I backed away. She stepped forward. "I don't respect you," she said softly. "And I don't think I ever did." Then she set the wine glass down, walked to the door, and said without looking back, "Thanks for doing the laundry all these years. Ron says you fold towels better than his ex." The door closed behind her, and I broke. Not loud, just quietly, like something inside me snapped, but no one else could hear it. Even after everything, I still wanted to believe she'd come back, that there was a version of her who still loved me. But that night, I understood the truth. She didn't leave because I wasn't enough. She left because I was too easy to walk over. I didn't sleep after she left. I just sat there, in silence, holding the glass she didn't finish, still smudged with her lipstick. I stared at it like it held answers. Like if I just looked long enough, I'd figure out how the woman I married turned into that. I kept hearing her voice in my head. "You're too trusting. It's pathetic." She was right. I gave her everything. I believed in her when I shouldn't have. I folded her laundry, packed her lunches, warmed up her car in winter. And she used all of it as proof I was weak. Maybe I was. But not anymore. The first thing I did was write everything down. Every conversation, every memory, every time she came home late or laughed at a text and said, "It's just work stuff." I made a timeline, because timelines tell the truth, even when people lie. Then I opened our shared Google Drive. She never bothered to change the password. She thought I was too stupid to look. Inside, I found a folder labeled Home Projects. I clicked. It was empty, or so I thought. But there was a hidden folder nested inside, one of those you only find if you look through the file tree manually. It was full. Photos, screenshots, videos, not of her and Ron, of her and others. 2 men, maybe 3. One in a janitor's uniform. One with a name tag from a waste removal company. One, he looked homeless, wearing a tattered hoodie, beard like a stray dog. She was proud of this. She saved it, labeled it, organized it. I felt the rage start to build, but I didn't let it spill. Instead, I copied everything to an encrypted flash drive. Then I deleted the original folder, but not permanently. I moved it to the archive where she wouldn't think to look. I wanted her to believe I was still blind. Because this wasn't about exposure yet. This was about strategy. I spent the next few days closing accounts, rerouting payments, taking my name off things and hers off others. I logged out of shared apps, changed recovery emails, and checked our credit reports. She had taken out a store card I never knew about, bought herself jewelry 3 weeks before the incident. While she thought I was broken, I was building. I also called in a favor. A friend of mine works in maintenance for city housing. He knows people who know people. I asked him to quietly run background checks on Ron and anyone else tied to her recent financial activity. 3 names popped. One had an arrest for indecent exposure. One had a suspended license for stealing plumbing equipment. And one, Ron, had been terminated from his last job for workplace harassment. I started connecting dots. She wasn't just careless. She was reckless. And now? Now she was vulnerable. All I had to do was wait. And when the time came, I'd make her wish she never saw me as weak. She thought I'd disappear. She told everyone I was too fragile to handle reality, that I walked out like a little boy. I know this because her sister messaged me and said, "I'm sorry she's saying those things about you." I don't believe them, but people were starting to listen. So I made my move. Not loud, not dramatic, just precise. I started with her job. She told everyone she left voluntarily, said it was a career break to explore herself. But I knew from the financial statements she was still using a corporate fuel card, which meant she wasn't gone. She was still tied to them. I contacted their HR department anonymously, said I was a concerned citizen reporting an ethics issue, attached a blurred image of her with Ron standing outside a city waste truck, arms around each other, kissing in front of the logo. Nothing graphic, just suggestive. But that's all it took. 3 days later, I got a call from her mother. I didn't answer. Her voicemail said, "She's been crying nonstop. They put her on leave." I didn't feel better, but I felt even. Next, I hit the friend circle. I uploaded a private folder to a cloud drive. Just one video. 30 seconds. Her and the janitor from her gym. In our living room. Him wearing work boots. Her in my hoodie. Then I sent the link to 3 people. Her best friend, her cousin, and our neighbor, Mrs. Hanley, the one she used to gossip with over iced coffee. No message. No explanation. Just a link. By that night, I had 4 missed calls from her. 1 voicemail. "You're insane. You don't know what you're starting." She was wrong. I knew exactly what I was starting. Because now, she wasn't laughing. She showed up at the house 2 days later. Hair tied back. Hoodie on. No makeup. I didn't let her in. "Can we talk?" she asked, voice low. "We're done talking," I said. "You made that clear." Her eyes darted around. "People are messaging me. My boss wants a meeting." "What did you do?" "I opened a window," I said. "You didn't close the blinds." "That's not my fault." She took a step forward. "You can't just ruin me because you're hurt." I almost laughed. "You think this is ruined?" I leaned in, quiet, steady. "You haven't seen ruined yet." Then I closed the door. For the first time, I saw fear on her face. Not anger. Not mockery. Real fear. She thought I'd fold. She thought I'd beg. She thought I'd drown in heartbreak and shame while she played the victim. But I wasn't drowning. I was learning to swim in fire. It started with a knock. 2 weeks after I shut the door in her face, 2 plainclothes officers showed up at my work. They asked to speak privately. My manager looked at me like I'd grown horns. We stepped into the break room, and they handed me a folder. Inside, a police report, filed by her, claiming I had been harassing her digitally, sharing private content without consent, and that I'd become emotionally unstable since the separation. The last page said she feared for her safety. I couldn't breathe. They weren't arresting me. Not yet. They were there to inform and advise. But the damage was done. By lunch, HR called me into the office. I was placed on temporary leave, pending an internal review. My work laptop was confiscated. My access badge was disabled. Just like that, I was out. She didn't have to prove anything, just accuse. She turned my silence into guilt, my caution into suspicion, my revenge into a campaign of psychological intimidation. And people believed her. That night, I checked my phone. 17 messages. 3 from my landlord. "We've received notice of a restraining order. Please clarify." 5 from mutual friends. "What's going on?" "She says you lost control." And 1 from her sister. "I warned you not to push her. You should have walked away." I stared at the screen in disbelief. She'd reversed everything. Again, I never laid a hand on her. Never threatened her. I still hadn't gone public with the worst of it. And yet now I was the one who needed defending. I called my lawyer. She was careful with her words. "You need to stay calm. They'll use anything emotional against you now. She's playing the legal game, and she's good at it." I asked what I should do. She sighed. "Stay off social media. Don't contact her. Document everything." I hung up and sat in the dark for hours. This wasn't a battle anymore. It was a trap. She didn't care about truth. She cared about narrative. And she was writing one where I was the villain. And the worst part? It was working. My parents started calling. They were confused, asking if I'd done something I hadn't. My sister begged me to just let it go before it gets worse. She wanted to bury me. Not with facts. With whispers. And it was working because I still looked weak. Still quiet. Still alone. I'd taken the first shot, and for a moment I thought I was winning. But this wasn't a fist fight. This was a chess game. And she had just put me back in check. The legal threat changed everything. I couldn't be loud anymore. Couldn't be reckless. Every move had to be clean. Documented. Controlled. Because now she wanted me to react emotionally so she could use it against me. So I went quiet. But not inactive. I started where she'd never expect. Her taxes. I knew she'd filed everything through a free online tool. She always bragged about beating the system and doing it herself. So I pulled out our old hard drive, one we hadn't used since before the marriage began to rot. That drive still had backups. PDFs. Year after year of returns. And one line stood out from 2 years ago. Self-employment income $14,300. She never told me about that. It wasn't from her main job. And she never reported it again. My guess? Cash work. Unreported. Dirty side gigs. And that gave me an idea. I went back to my tech contact. The one who helped trace her messages earlier. I asked him to search for keywords. Zelle, Venmo, PayPal on the backups from our old devices. Within 2 days, he found patterns. Multiple transfers. Same few names. All small enough to avoid alerts. But consistent. One name stood out. A married city contractor also listed on the waste management payroll. I dug deeper. Found a city-issued phone number tied to him. And a government email. I wrote one message. "Just so you know, your name appears on financial transfers connected to my wife, along with evidence of an inappropriate relationship. If this goes to court, it becomes public. Handle your side. No threats. No demands. Just pressure. That same week, I mailed an anonymous packet to the ethics department of his agency. Inside, copies of financial transfers, screenshots of late-night messages from his number to hers, and 3 blurred photos. I didn't hear back, but he did. 2 days later, her name was removed from the contractor's authorized guest list at city events. She posted a cryptic message online, something about snakes turning on each other. Then came the call from her lawyer. Polite. Careful. They wanted to revisit the terms. No more restraining order. No further accusations. Now they were offering a quiet divorce. No fault. Assets split evenly. I rejected it. Instead, I filed my own claim. Fraud. Financial misconduct during marriage. Destruction of shared property. And a petition to re-examine her accusations under a perjury review. This time, I had the paper trail. And this time, she was the one on defense. For the first time, I saw her make a public post with the comments turned off. For the first time, her sister called me. She won't admit it, but she's scared. I think she went too far. I didn't respond. Because fear wasn't the goal. Accountability was. She wanted to play with my life like it was hers to destroy. Now I was playing on her field. And I was winning. Just when I thought I was ahead, she did something I never saw coming. She didn't attack me directly. She went through my mother. It started with a letter. Not an email. Not a text. A printed, hand-delivered envelope addressed to my mom, using her full maiden name, like it was some legal memo. Inside, photos. Photos of me. Screenshots from my own revenge steps, me tracking her transfers, talking to mutual friends, digging into her accounts. All cut and spliced to look like stalking. And on the back, a handwritten note. Just thought you should know what your son has become. My mother called me in tears. Is it true? She asked. Are you really spying on her? Digging through her finances? I tried to explain. That it was legal. That it was self-defense. That I never touched her, never threatened her, never followed her physically. But it didn't matter. The image was burned into her mind now. Then came the dominoes. Her post online, something vague but calculated. He told me I was crazy. Then he showed up at my old workplace asking questions. This is what covert abuse looks like. No names. No proof. Just implication. People believed her. Again, I lost 3 friends that week. One of them called me and said, "Man, I don't know what to believe anymore, but I can't be in the middle of this." Another one blocked me. She wasn't playing fair. She was playing psychological warfare. And I was breaking. The worst came when my job emailed me. The HR investigation had concluded, but they were concerned about recent developments. They placed me on a 6-month probation. No bonus. No promotions. My manager wouldn't even look me in the eye. I sat in my car that night and stared at the steering wheel for over an hour. Everything I built, everything I fought back to protect, it was cracking again. And I almost gave up. Almost. Until one thing caught my attention. The letter to my mother, it had a return address. A P.O. box. But when I checked the tracking barcode on the envelope, I saw who actually mailed it. Her new boyfriend. Not Ron. Not the janitor. A new name. Someone she'd met while the restraining order was still active. Which meant she had broken the terms of her own protection. I had it in writing. With postal timestamp. With sender ID. With enough to prove perjury and misuse of legal process. And for the first time in weeks, I smiled. She thought she'd won again. But she left a fingerprint on her own trap. And I was ready to pull the floor out from under her. I didn't confront her. Not this time. I learned that lesson already. When I act emotional, she controls the story. But now, I had something cold. Clean. Undeniable. So I did exactly what she'd never expect from me. I went quiet. And I handed everything to my lawyer. The letter to my mother. The return address. The post office timestamp. The sender ID, registered to a man whose name appeared on her social media feed just 2 weeks earlier, tagged in a blurry photo she thought no one would notice. We filed a motion. Petition to reopen the restraining order under grounds of false testimony and violation of judicial integrity. Then I went one step further. I contacted the postal inspector's office and submitted a formal inquiry. A federal process. Because when you use the postal service to send targeted materials as part of an ongoing legal case, you cross into interference. That got their attention. They called her in for an informal interview. Just questions. No charges. But she didn't show up. She panicked instead. Blocked me on every platform. Deleted half her social media accounts. called my lawyer and asked, "What exactly is he trying to do?" That was when I knew she felt it. Pressure. Real pressure. And I wasn't done. I sent the court a sealed packet. Inside were detailed logs of every person she contacted during our restraining order. Screenshots, timestamps, photos from mutual friends showing her out in public with that man during the order's active period. We requested a review for malicious prosecution and a motion to suppress any evidence she submitted during the original hearing on grounds of perjury. Then came the hearing date. She walked in dressed like a victim again. Oversized cardigan, soft makeup, no jewelry. But this time, the judge didn't look at her the same way. Because this time, he had evidence of a game. When her lawyer tried to dismiss the postal evidence as irrelevant, the judge cut him off. Why would your client be using third parties to contact the petitioner's family during an active no-contact order? Her face drained. I didn't speak. I didn't smirk. I just watched her unravel. They didn't arrest her. Not yet. But they issued a formal warning. All previous claims she filed were placed under review. The original protection order? Vacated. Expunged. The accusations against me? Dismissed without merit. She didn't lose everything. But she lost her grip. And that night, I got a message from one of the friends who'd blocked me weeks ago. "Hey, I'm sorry. I didn't know the whole story." It wasn't vindication, but it was the beginning. She built her story on the belief I was too soft to fight back. Now, she was watching the whole house lean, and I still had one last card. For a while, she disappeared. No messages, no lawyers, no posts, just silence. I thought maybe she'd finally cracked. That maybe this time, the truth had stuck. But I should have known better. Her comeback was as cold and calculated as ever. It started with a countermotion. She filed for a financial settlement, claiming emotional damages from the stress I allegedly caused her by weaponizing the legal system. She had a new lawyer now. A woman. Younger. Sharper. The type who smiles while pulling out a knife. They didn't argue facts. They argued narrative. That I was obsessive. That I monitored her every move. That I weaponized personal information to shame and control her. All vague. All slippery. But in today's courtrooms, emotion wins more than truth. She even brought in a therapist's letter. Not a diagnosis, just a statement that she'd been under intense psychological distress caused by ongoing legal harassment. And the judge? He bought it. Maybe not all of it, but just enough. They ruled to split the remaining assets 60/40ths in her favor. Said I had shown patterns of behavior inconsistent with reconciliation or cooperative resolution. No jail time. No charges. No criminal record. But still she won. Again. She walked out of that courtroom holding the papers like a trophy. And when she looked at me in the hallway, she didn't smile. She winked. Like it was all a game she'd finally beaten me at. I went home and sat in the kitchen. Same chair. Same table. Everything felt like it did the night I caught her in the shower. Full circle. She got the last word. She got the narrative. She got the house again. But then, 2 nights later, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. No subject line. No message. Just an attachment. A video. I hesitated. I almost deleted it. But curiosity won. I hit play. It was grainy. Security cam footage. Dated 3 weeks ago. Location: inside a local government building. The frame showed a hallway. A familiar one. And then, she appeared, walking hand in hand, with a man. Not Ron. Not the city contractor. A third man. Older. Well-dressed. Face partially turned, but I recognized him. He was my judge. The one from our last hearing. They didn't kiss. But she touched his chest. He touched her back. The camera caught everything. The date on the file? 1 day before the court ruling. My hand started shaking. Because if what I was seeing was real, if I could verify this footage, she didn't just win dirty. She won illegally. And now, I had a nuclear option. I didn't rush. I watched the video 10 times. I forwarded it to my lawyer. She called back in under 5 minutes. This is judicial misconduct. If that's him, if that's the judge, you're sitting on a scandal that could bury them both. I already knew that. It wasn't just revenge anymore. It was leverage. We filed a sealed motion with the ethics board. No accusations yet. Just a request to verify the footage, cross-check dates, identify the parties. Then I waited. I didn't sleep for 3 days. When she finally called, her voice was a whisper. "I need to see you." No. She tried again the next morning. Showed up at my door. No makeup, pale, eyes red. Not crying yet. Just empty. I didn't let her in. Please, she said. I know. I know you saw it. I didn't speak. She stepped back, looked around. Then she did something I never thought I'd see. She dropped to her knees. On the front porch. In broad daylight. I messed up, she said, voice cracking. I lied. I used people. I dragged you through the worst. But this? If this gets out, I'll lose everything. You should have thought about that when you were meeting him in public buildings, I said coldly. She looked up at me, eyes full of panic. I wasn't sleeping with him. It wasn't like that. I thought he could help me. I didn't know it would go this far. I didn't believe her. But that wasn't the point anymore. You turned me into a monster, I said. To my family. To my job. To my friends. You humiliated me, lied to courts, sent letters to my mother. And now you want mercy? Tears streamed down her cheeks. I don't care about the money. Take it all. I don't care about the house, the settlement. Just please don't file that report. I held the door frame tight, my knuckles white, because part of me wanted to watch it all burn, to leak that footage, to let the city rip her reputation to shreds, to let the judge crawl under scrutiny, to finally see her feel the same public shame she threw on me like garbage. But another part of me was tired, not weak, not defeated, just done. I stepped back and looked at her, on her knees, makeup streaked, voice shaking. This is over, I said. You'll never contact me again. Not through friends, not through family, not through lawyers. You'll leave me alone. She nodded quickly, hands folded like a prayer. And I won't release the video, I added. She sobbed. I shut the door and leaned against it. And for the first time in months, I felt peace. Not because I won, but because I didn't have to become her to destroy her. And now I'll ask you, what would you do in my place?